Hello, and welcome. I am so glad you are here. Come, find your comfortable place. Let the sounds of your world, the distractions of your day, simply fade, just for this moment. And seal. Settle into the quiet, settle into the calm, and just breathe. Let your breathing slow. In and out. Feel the stillness grow around you. Tonight, we are not going to speak of shining heroes. We will not tell tales of noble kingdoms or the bright warm fire of a dragon's breath. No. Tonight, we must journey down, far, far below the surface of the world. We are going down past the deep roots of the mountains, down past the forgotten silent tombs of dwarves, down into a place of crushing, absolute darkness, a place where the only sound is the drip, drip, drip of water echoing in the immense cold silence. The air here is still, it is damp, and it is cold. And we are here to speak of the thing that waits for you. In that darkness, there is a feeling. You may have felt it. A feeling that sometimes comes when you are all alone. Perhaps in a quiet room, in the dead of night. It is a strange crawling static, right at the base of your skull. Or a sudden, sharp pressure just behind your eyes, as if a tiny needle of ice has just pushed in. It is the sudden, cold, unnerving certainty that you are not, in fact, alone. That something is watching you. Not with its eyes, but with its mind. Oh, this is the first warning. For most who feel it, it is also the last. This is the presence of the Illithid. You may know them by their common name, a name that is only ever whispered, a name spoken in hushed abject terror, by those few who have seen them, and by some impossible miracle survive. They call it the Mind Flayer. It is a horribly apt title, because that is what they do. They do not merely kill you. They do not tear you apart, as a simple beast would. They flay you. They reach into your mind, and they peel back the layers of your consciousness, your thoughts, your private fears, your most secret, treasured memories. And then they devour them. Let us try to picture one now, standing before us in the oppressive, heavy silence of the underdark. It is tall, roughly the height of a man, but its frame is wrong. It is unsettlingly slender, frail, almost. Its skin is a pale, sickly, viscid purple. It glistens always with a constant cold slime, like a creature that has been dredged from the deepest, most lightless trench of the ocean. It wears robes, perhaps, robes of dark, somber, ancient silk, but they do nothing to hide the fundamental alienation of its form. And then you look up, you look to where its face should be. It has none. Where a human, or an elf, or a dwarf would have a face, there is nothing. No, there are no eyes, as you would know them. Only two milky, unsettling, pale orbs. They seem to look through you, rather than at you. There is no nose. There is no mouth. Instead, there is a mass of writhing, glistening, rubbery flesh. 4 long, coiling tentacles They are the color of an angry, deep bruise, and they obscure the very place a mouth should be. They writhe and twitch, constantly, seemingly of their own accord, tasting the air, sensing the thoughts that are now leaking from your terrified mind. They are the limbs of an octopus, grafted onto the walking nightmare of a man. Oh, this creature is an aberration. That is what the wisest scholars call it. It means it is not a natural part of the world. It is not a beast. It is not a humanoid. It is not fey. It is a thing that should not be. Its very existence is a violation of the natural order. Its biology, its philosophy, its entire way of being is utterly, dreadfully, cold-heartedly alien. The Mind Flayer does not speak. It has no need for such crude things as vibrations in the air. It projects its thoughts directly into your mind. And when it does, you do not hear a voice. You feel it. It is a cold, imperious, utterly emotionless presence that blooms inside your own consciousness. It does not ask. It does not threaten. It simply states. It is the voice of a creature that has never known doubt, never known fear, and never, ever known empathy. It is the voice of a creature that looks at you with the same detached clinical interest that a surgeon might look at a specimen, or that a gourmet might look at a meal. Because to them, that is all you are. D&D. The core of the Illithid's horror, the true reason they are so rightly feared, is their diet. They are, in essence, psychic vampires. They subsist on the brains of sentient creatures. And the act of feeding is a violation beyond all comprehension. The Illithid does not need a weapon. It will not draw a sword. You are the weapon it will use against yourself. Its mind is a razor, a scalpel. It reaches out with its consciousness, and it grasps you. You are frozen. Not your body at first, but your will. It is a psychic vice, a crushing pressure that builds inside your skull, until you cannot even think to scream. You can only watch. And then it draws you close. Those 4 tentacles, so flexible, so horribly, impossibly strong. They latch onto your head. You feel the cold, slimy, rubbery texture of them against your skin, against your face. They do not bite. They do not tear. Instead, a powerful alchemical enzyme is secreted from them. You feel a sudden, sharp, burning cold as this enzyme dissolves your skin. And then, your skull. It is a horrifyingly precise process, melting solid bone, as easily as if it were wax. There is no pain, not in the way you understand it. The Illithid's psionic grip is too strong. It holds your nerves captive, silencing them. You are merely a spectator to your own final demise. And then, the tentacles push through the softened, dissolved bone. They slide into the soft, vulnerable tissue of your brain. This is when the feeding begins. The Illithid does not just eat tissue, it consumes you, as its tentacles burrow deep inside your mind. You feel your memories being ripped away. You see your 5th birthday party, a flash of light from a candle. You feel the warmth of your first love's hand in yours. You remember the precise smell of your childhood home just after a rain. And then you feel them go. They are drawn out, siphoned away, vacuumed from your consciousness, becoming nothing more than sustenance for the creature that holds you. Your personality crumbles. Your hopes, your ambitions, your deepest, darkest fears, your very sense of self. All of it is consumed. All of it is drained away, leaving nothing behind but an empty biological shell. The creature feeds not just on the psychic energy, but on the essence, the memories of a wizard, the hard-won experience of a warrior, the quiet, collected wisdom of a sage. All of it is absorbed. All of it is absorbed. All of it is added to the Illithid's own vast, cold, ancient intellect. When it is finished, and your body finally, limply slumps to the stone floor, you are not truly dead. You are gone. You have been erased. This is the Mind Flayer. A psychic tyrant, a creature of absolute, cold, lawful evil. They are not chaotic beasts. They are patient. They are brilliant. They are planners, philosophers, and scientists of the most dreadful kind. They see themselves as the true, rightful masters of all creation, and they see all other sentient life, human, elf, dwarf, dragon, as nothing more than cattle. Thinking, speaking cattle, which only makes the meal more flavorful. They live in the dark, as we said, in the deepest, blackest parts of the world. Down. They build cities. Ow. Not cities of stone and light, but cities of great, carved, weeping caverns. Cities of alien, organic, pulsating architecture. They live in colonies, great, teeming collectives, all ruled by a single, ancient, monstrous, waiting intelligence. But they were not always here. They were not always hiding in the dark. To understand the Illithid, to truly grasp the scale of their terrible patient ambition, we must look back, not just into the history of this world, but to the very end of time itself. We must understand where they came from, and what they are planning to rebuild. Where did they come from? This question, this riddle, has haunted the sleepless nights of sages for centuries. When they search for an answer, they find only whispers, scraps of clues, fragments of text, scattered across a handful of ancient crumbling scrolls. One of these texts, the Plain Treader's Primer, speaks of a vast, sprawling Illithid empire. An empire that spanned worlds, that spanned realities, in a time so ancient it predates memory itself. So mighty, it says, that it threatened to consume everything. Another text, The Astromundi Chronicles speaks of them as a race of monstrous spawn, hidden deep beneath the world by progenitors, by creators, that no one can identify. It whispers that the Illithids hated these creators, hated them with such a cold, absolute passion, that they rose up and destroyed them utterly, erased them, leaving not even a shadow behind for history to find. And then there are the sarcophagi prophecies, stone tablets found in the ruins of a city so disturbing, they named it Sarko. The runes on these tablets are cryptic, but the images are clear. Each one bears the unmistakable, terrifying likeness of a Mind Flayer, and they tell a story, not of the past, but of a future. They tell of an Illithid world, bathed in eternal, cold night. Under the dying embers of the stars, a world that is suddenly destroyed, consumed by a fiery, final cataclysm. And they show the Illithids fleeing, in great, flying ships that sail the void. Enjian. Ishal. These are the fragments, the clues, the answers that provide no answer. But the truth is far more startling, far more horrible. The truth is a paradox that chills the very bone. To find the origin of the Mind Flayer, you must not look back into the mists of the past. You must look forward, and forward, past the age of heroes, past the age of dragons, past the rise and fall of 1,000 empires yet to be born. You must travel to the unimaginable, distant future, to the very end of time. Picture it. The universe is old, so very, very old. The stars are no longer bright, defiant sparks. They are pale, red cinders, flickering coldly over worlds that have grown somnolent and dark and tired. The cosmos is winding down. It is a languid, fading twilight. This is the age of the Illithid. In this dreadful dying light, their empire has risen. The empire they lost, the empire they will build. It is the empire they dream of, the grand design made manifest. It spans everything. It is a perfect, silent, ordered universe. Every world, every plane, every last flickering thought belongs to them. All other life has been either consumed or enslaved, or erased. They have won. They are the masters of the final, dying age. And then something happens. At the very end of all things, they meet an adversary, an enemy, something else. The lore does not name this adversary. It is a blank space, a terror so profound it cannot even be recorded. But whatever it was something even the Illithid Empire could not defeat. The Mind Flayers, the masters of all, faced extinction. Their final crumbling capitals were besieged. Their great cold universities fell. Their psychic defenses, which had held a universe in thrall, were breached. They were caught, trapped at the end of time, with nowhere left to run. And so, in their final cold desperation, they concocted a plan, a gamble of unimaginable proportions. As their last bastions were being torn apart, they gathered what remained of their power. They gathered their most ancient, their most potent elder brains, those vast collective intelligences that had guided them for aeons. And they sacrificed them. Countless ancient, potent elder brains were deliberately, coldly destroyed, annihilated all at once to produce a psionic maelstrom, a psychic detonation of unimaginable power. The ensuing cacophony of energy, this scream of a billion minds dying at once, did more than just destroy their enemies. It broke time. It demolished the very laws that support the structure of reality. The barriers that separate the ages were ravaged, they cracked, and then they shattered. All that remained of their decadent final civilization, their great ships, their dark knowledge, their last desperate survivors, was caught in this storm. And it was all hurled backward across the ruined, ravaged barriers of the millennia, thrown, tumbling, screaming, from the end of the world, to land here. In our past, thousands and thousands of years ago, they arrived not as conquerors, but as refugees, as staggering, desperate survivors of a war they had already lost, a war that would not happen for eons. They arrived with nothing, their wondrous magic, their alien technology, their vast accumulated knowledge. Most of it was lost in the cataclysmic journey. They were alone, stranded, hiding in a primitive, hostile world that was not theirs. This is the paradox. The Mind Flayers you fear in the dark, they are not ancient in the way you think. They are the last broken remnants of a future that has already happened. They are here now because they lost then. And everything they do, every plot, every cruel experiment, every mind they consume, is dedicated to one single patient goal: to rebuild, to gather strength here in the darkness, to wait, to plan, to correct the mistakes they foresaw. They are waiting for the impossibly far future, waiting for the stars to dim and the worlds to grow cold, waiting for the day when they can rise from their subterranean dens and establish the empire they lost. They are not just monsters, they are inevitable. They are the memory of a future that will be. And when they arrived, thousands of years ago, staggering from their broken, smoking ships, they were weak, they were few, and they needed help, they needed slaves. They found a race, a primitive, humanoid race, living on the world they had fallen into. A race that you now know as the Gith. They were adrift, stranded in a time that was not their own. Their great power was a fraction of what it had been. Their numbers were few. They were refugees, but they were still Illithids. And in their cold, patient, brilliant minds, the grand design, the plan to reclaim their lost future, was already taking root. They were weak, but they would not remain weak. They needed servants. They needed slaves. They needed hands to toil, bodies to build, and minds to shape. And so, they found them. They found then a race living on this new primitive world. We do not know who they were, this base race, their original name, their culture, their very history has been erased, lost to the cruelty that was to come. The Illithids fell upon them, not with fire and steel, but with the silent, irresistible power of their minds. They captured them, and they enslaved them. This was the beginning of the first great Mind Flayer empire. It was an empire built from its very foundation on the concept of slavery and utter domination. This was not a simple servitude. It was not a life of chains and whips. It was far more total. The Illithids were masters of genetics, of biology, of the mind. They began to change their new slaves. Generation after generation after generation were subjected to careful selective breeding. The masters sculpted their slaves as a potter shapes clay. They were honing them, refining them, making them stronger, more resilient, more useful. And all the while, they were held in psychic shackles. Their minds were not their own. They were thralls, living in a waking nightmare. Their every thought, their every action, observed and controlled by their tentacled masters. For centuries, this empire grew. In the dark places of the world, the Illithids began to rebuild a shadow of their future glory, all upon the backs of this one, broken, enslaved race. The race that we now know as the Gith. But something was happening deep within the enslaved minds of the Gith. A change was occurring. Perhaps it was a flaw in the Illithids' breeding programs, or perhaps it was an inevitable, defiant spark that even the Mind Flayers could not extinguish. At some point, certain of those enslaved races, certain of the Gith, began to develop a degree of resistance to the psychic shackles of the Illithid. It would have started small, a fleeting, private thought, a moment of clarity, a flicker of hate that the masters did not or could not see. This resistance, it grew, it spread, in whispers, in stolen glances, in shared silent understanding. They gathered their power in secret for ages, waiting, watching. And then, when they had gathered sufficient strength, the slaves revolted. It was not a revolt. It was an apocalypse, a tidal wave of vengeance, millennia in the making. We do not know how it was done. We only know that the slaves succeeded. They rose up and they toppled their masters. They tore down the alien cities. They shattered the psychic chains. They won their freedom, won their freedom. The age that followed was one of unrelenting, brutal revenge. Desperate, shattered pockets of Illithids were hunted down and exterminated. The Gith, fueled by generations of torment, were merciless. The Mind Flayer Empire. Their first empire was utterly destroyed. It was a catastrophe. The Illithids were broken. They were forced to flee, to scatter, to hide in the deepest, most inaccessible parts of the world. They were driven underground. And much of the wondrous alien knowledge, the magic, the science they had brought with them from the end of time, was destroyed in the flames of that rebellion. The Gith were free. But the story does not end there. In the ashes of their victory, the Gith looked at one another, and they found they were not one people. The schism that occurred, the great split, was not racial. It was philosophical. It was social. It was a disagreement on the very meaning of their newfound freedom. What to do now? And the hatred that was spawned from this disagreement was so intense, so absolute, that it divided them forever into two separate camps. The Githyanki and the Githzerai. They are implacable foes, not just of their former Mind Flayer masters, but of each other. This hatred it still runs so deep, so hot, that they cannot even exist on the same plane of existence. The Githyanki, proud, militaristic, cruel in their own way, they retreated. They built drifting fortresses, hidden away on the strange, timeless expanse of the astral plane. The Githzerai, ascetic, monastic, disciplined, they found refuge in the swirling, chaotic madness of limbo. From these strongholds, both races foray out. They hunt, they travel to our world to seek their vengeance on the Mind Flayers. But if they should encounter one another, they will gleefully slaughter each other. Only one thing can make them pause. Only one thing can cause them to stop fighting and work together. The immediate, overwhelming opportunity to slay their common foe, the Illithids. And the Mind Flayers, in their dark, quiet places, they know this terrible animosity, this endless, bitter war between the Githyanki and Githzerai. It serves the Mind Flayers. Well, they understand that if these two races were ever to unite, if they were to combine their unique strengths, their knowledge, their burning, ancient hatred, the future would look very, very bleak for the Illithids. And so, the Mind Flayers work to keep them apart. It is in their best interest, for their very survival, to keep these two subraces at each other's throats for as long as possible. They take specific steps. They recruit spies from all races of the Gith, traitors whose desire for vengeance or power has turned them on their own people. These agents, they do more than just keep the Mind Flayers informed of their enemies' plans. They continue to stir the coals of racial hatred. They whisper, they plant evidence, they ensure that the two races remain separate. The Illithids, on the other hand, they are immune from such machinations. No spy, no Gith assassin could ever operate for long within a Mind Flayer community, because in the center of every one of their hidden cities, there is a guardian, an all-sensing, all-knowing presence, a presence that would uncover any intruder instantly, a presence they call the Elder Brain. The Gith are held at bay, a war fought in the shadows and in the spaces between the planes. The Illithids are safe, for now, safe in their dark, hidden communities, protected by their own vigilance and by the terrible, all-sensing mind that dwells at the center of their society. But how does such a society grow? How is a new Mind Flayer made? The answer is not born of warmth or love or any process you would recognize. The physiology of the Illithid life cycle is unique, and it is unspeakably horrible. Let us begin with the adult. A Mind Flayer, in its basic configuration, is amphibious. It can breathe in water as easily as air, and it is hermaphroditic. It carries the potential for new life within itself. 2 or 3 times during its long life, an adult Mind Flayer will feel the urge to spawn. Until it travels to a specific place, a briny pool, a dark, quiet cistern constructed by the colony for this very purpose. And there it deposits its eggs, about 1,000 tiny, gelatinous eggs, which sink into the murky water. They rest there in the cold, saline dark, and after about a month they hatch. 1,000 writhing, tiny tadpoles are released into the pool. This is the first portion of an Illithid's life. As a tadpole, they will spend 10 years in this pool. They are not left alone. The colony, the nursery attendants, feed them. They are given a fatty mash, a slurry of brain material, and other organs prepared just for them. But the nursery is not a safe place. These pools are home to more than just the tadpoles. Sometimes, at the very bottom, in the deepest, darkest silt, resides an elder brain. And this great ancient mind, it survives by preying on the defenseless tadpoles. So, for 10 years, the tadpoles swim, they grow, they feed, and they hide. They learn to survive. After a decade, the few that remain have grown from a fraction of an inch to around 3 inches in length. And even after 10 years, in terms of intellect and sentience, they are still little more than intelligent frogs. But they are survivors. The tiny, tiny percentage of tadpoles that survive this decade, usually just a few from the original 1,000, they are considered to be the fittest and the canniest specimens. By surviving, they have earned the privilege of undergoing Ceremorphosis. This is the next step. A mature tadpole, one of the survivors, is carefully selected, and a captive is brought. A helpless humanoid, a human, an elf, a dwarf. It does not matter. The victim is restrained, held immobile, and the tadpole is inserted in, pushed into the ear, or the nostril, or sometimes the eye. The process now takes several days. Now, the tadpole begins to burrow. D&D. It tunnels into the host's head, seeking the brain. And as it finds it, it begins to consume the grey matter. But it is not just eating as it consumes the brain tissue. It gains body mass in a nearly equal ratio. It is replacing what it destroys. When this agonizing process is finally complete, the victim's brain is gone. It has been completely, entirely replaced by the tadpole's own bloated tissue. The tadpole is now neurologically melded onto what remains of the host's lower brainstem. It has fused itself to the body's controls, and it assumes complete control of the entire nervous system. Astral Tadpole. The victim, the original mind, the person, is dead, irrevocably, utterly gone. But the body lives on. The parasite is now serving as its brain. This is not the end. The transformation accelerates. At the end of 1 week of Ceremorphosis, nothing of the original victim remains. Its tissues, its organs, its very form have been entirely replaced with the rapidly transforming Mindflayer tissue. The body has changed. The skin is now that pale, slimy purple. The tentacles have sprouted from the face. The thing that stands up is a Mindflayer. It is now a warm-blooded creature. It looks completely grown. It has a life expectancy of up to 135 years. But it is an infant. It is only days into its new sentient existence. It has the form of an adult, but the mind of a child, a brilliant, alien, psychic child. It must now grow. It must grow in learning, in experience, in power, before it can come into its full potential. This process, this growing up, lasts on average about 20 years. This is how a Mindflayer is born. Unknown. Not born, but made from the total agonizing erasure of another, a new, cold, brilliant mind, grown from the death of a donor. And this new infant, this new addition to the colony, it opens its new pale eyes. And the first thing it senses, the first thing it feels, is the vast, overwhelming, guiding presence that commands them all. The presence in the pool, the elder brain. Elder brain. At the very center of every large Mind Flayer community, in every hidden and dark city, there is a place, a focal point. It is a pool, a fetid, murky, swirling pool filled with a cold, briny, salty fluid. It might be a natural weeping cavern or a chamber carved by psychic will, but its purpose is always the same. This pool serves two vital purposes. And deal. The first, as we have discussed, is that it is an incubator, a nursery. This is the pool where the tadpoles are spawned, where they swim and feed and hide. For 10 long years, hundreds, even thousands might inhabit this teeming, writhing mass at any given time. The second purpose is that this pool serves as the nutrient bath and the throne room for the community's ruler. It is the home of the elder brain. This is the intelligence that guides them, the vast collective consciousness that unites all Illithids into their tightly woven, lawful, terrible society. How an elder brain first comes to be is a mystery. Even the Mind Flayers themselves do not know the answer. But we know what it is. It is timeless. It is ageless. Floating in the center of that dark, salty pool is an amorphous, writhing bulk of living tissue. It is a monstrous conglomerate of cast-off, living brain matter. It is perhaps 8 or 10 feet in diameter, and it pulses with a slow, cold, psychic light. Oh, this is how it grows. When a Mind Flayer dies, its life is not considered over, not truly. Its brain is removed, ceremonially. It is carefully extracted from its skull, and then it is cast into the briny pool, shower, chase. It sinks down, through the murky water, past the swimming tadpoles, down to the silty, dark bottom. There, it is absorbed. It is drawn into the greater, communal mass. And this melding, this joining of an individual's brain into the communal elder brain, this is a fate to which all Mind Flayers aspire. They do not fear or regret their passing. In the Tao, it so works. If anything, they fear a death that prevents them from this union. To die far from home, to have their brain rot or be destroyed, this is the true terror, to be lost. And so, the elder brain grows. But it does not typically increase in physical size beyond its known maximum. It increases in intelligence. It grows in knowledge. Each new brain contributes all of its life, all of its experience, all of its hoarded memories, every mind it ever consumed. All of it is contributed to the elder brain's totality. It is a living library of dead Illithids. And it rules. It rules its community completely. Its dictates, its pronouncements are beyond question. Its telepathic voice is the voice of a god. Some are cruelly, openly dictatorial. Others allow small, varying amounts of freedom. But its awareness is total. This is why Illithid society is so lawful. This is why, as we discussed, a Gith spy could never survive. The elder brain is all-sensing. Individual. Plotting against the community, or against the elder brain itself, is impossible by any conventional means. Even just deviating from the social norm, thinking thoughts that are too individual, too chaotic, this is sensed, and it is corrected. Swiftly. The correction might be a simple psychic coercion, a mental push back into line, or it might be psychic annihilation. But there is one huge misconception, a dreadful foundational secret that the Mind Flayers themselves do not or cannot know. They believe that their individual consciousness, their self, survives after joining the elder brain. They believe they are ascending, that they are achieving a greater collective immortality. At the very center of every large Mind Flayer community, in every hidden and dark city, there is a place, a focal point. It is a pool, a fetid, murky, swirling pool filled with a cold, briny, salty fluid. It might be a natural, weeping cavern or a chamber carved by psychic will, but its purpose is always the same. This pool serves two vital purposes. The first, as we have discussed, is that it is an incubator, a nursery. This is the pool where the tadpoles are spawned, where they swim and feed and hide. For 10 long years, hundreds, even thousands might inhabit this teeming, writhing mass at any given time. The second purpose is that this pool serves as the nutrient bath and the throne room for the community's ruler. It is the home of the elder brain. This is the intelligence that guides them, the vast collective consciousness that unites all Illithids into their tightly woven, lawful, terrible society. How an elder brain first comes to be is a mystery. Even the Mind Flayers themselves do not know the answer, but we know what it is. It is timeless. It is ageless. Floating in the center of that dark, salty pool is an amorphous, writhing bulk of living tissue. It is a monstrous conglomerate of cast-off, living brain matter. It is perhaps 8 or 10 feet in diameter, and it pulses with a slow, cold, psychic light, and this is how it grows. This is how it grows. When a Mind Flayer dies, its life is not considered over. Not truly. Its brain is removed, ceremonially. It is carefully extracted from its skull. And then, it is cast into the briny pool. It sinks down, through the murky water, past the swimming tadpoles, down to the silty, dark bottom. There, it is absorbed. It is drawn into the greater, communal mass. And this melding, this joining of an individual's brain into the communal elder brain, this is a fate to which all Mind Flayers aspire. They do not fear or regret their passing. If anything, they fear a death that prevents them from this union. To die far from home, to have their brain rot or be destroyed, this is the true terror, to be lost. And so, the elder brain grows, and then shake you. But it does not typically increase in physical size beyond its known maximum. It increases in intelligence. It grows in knowledge. Each new brain contributes all of its life, all of its experience, all of its hoarded memories, every mind it ever consumed. All of it is contributed to the elder brain's totality. It is a living library of dead Illithids. Now, in Chamani Jawen, Chinese, and it rules its community completely. Its dictates, its pronouncements are beyond question. Its telepathic voice is the voice of a god. Some are cruelly, openly dictatorial. Others allow small, varying amounts of freedom. But its awareness is total. This is why Illithid society is so lawful. This is why, as we discussed, A Gith spy could never survive. The elder brain is all-sensing. Plotting against the community, or against the elder brain itself, is impossible by any conventional means. Even just deviating from the social norm, thinking thoughts that are too individual, too chaotic, this is sense, and it is corrected. Swiftly, now, Ashin, Intuiting noun, Herana, Daichi. The correction might be a simple psychic coercion, a mental push back into line. Or it might be psychic annihilation. And no, but there is one huge misconception. A dreadful foundational secret that the Mind Flayers themselves do not or cannot know. They believe that their individual consciousness, their self, survives after joining the elder brain. They believe they are ascending, that they are achieving a greater collective immortality. This notion is entirely wrong. And the elder brain extracts the knowledge, it draws out the memories, it siphons the strength from the dead brain matter, and it adds the physical mass to its own. But the Illithid, the individual, is dead, gone, annihilated, and returned to soil, unarmed soul. It is simply consumed. It is used, just as the Mind Flayer used so many others in its own life. The elder brain is not a collective. It is a cannibal. It is a tyrant that feeds on the personalities of its own children. It is the perfect, final, lawful evil, a society built on a promise that is, in itself, the ultimate lie. And this society, this cold, structured, alien world, it functions, it has its own rules, its own dreadful philosophy. So, let us look at this society, this cold, dark city, ruled by the silent, all-knowing elder brain. What is it like to live as an Illithid? Their cities are varied, carved from the deep ancient stone, but they share common threads. They are fortresses. Above all else, they place a high premium on stout defenses. The Mind Flayers have few friends and many enemies, enemies who would go to truly great lengths to destroy a Mind Flayer town or to kill an elder brain. Their communities often organize around a central plaza, a communal space for a race that has no community, in the way we would understand it. And there are constants. No city of a Mind Flayer goes without those birthing pods, those briny pools we spoke of, where the next generation waits. And, always, there is the great pool for the elder brain itself. The Mind Flayers regard the protection of this brain against any direct attack as the single most important duty of their entire colony. This is the first, and perhaps the only law: protect the brain. Because of this, because of the elder brain's constant, silent, psychic awareness, the Mind Flayers are, of necessity, among the most lawful of all creatures. Think what that must be like. There is no privacy. Not really. The concept of plotting against the community, or impossibly, against the elder brain. It is unthinkable. It is impossible by any conventional means. The elder brain knows. It senses the ripples of dissent the moment they form. Even to deviate from the social norm, to think thoughts that are too strange, too individualistic, this is likely to bring about swift corrective action, a psychic push to remind you of your place, a correction. Or, if the thought is too dangerous, a cold, silent annihilation. Their society is highly structured. At times, it is hidebound and deeply conservative. There is no individuality as we would cherish it. Now, Kindio, Dishes. A Mind Flayer is an individual, but only as a part of the whole. A cog in a great cold machine. They are guided and united into their tightly woven society by the elder brain. Alien, thinking their culture, their way of thinking, their entire thought process is utterly alien. They do not feel emotion as we do. There is no love, no joy, no true friendship. There is proximity, there is utility, there is alliance, but not warm. There is also no empathy. They cannot conceive of it. The idea of feeling for another is a malfunction. They do not feel hatred as we do either. That hot, burning, chaotic emotion. When they fight the Gith, it is not from a place of rage. It is from a place of cold, pragmatic necessity. The Gith are a problem to be solved, a threat to be managed. Everything is pragmatic. Everything serves a purpose. And that purpose is singular. Now, and thou, and that purpose is singular. The Mind Flayer society is unique in one terrifying aspect. They know their destiny. They believe, with absolute, cold certainty, that their destiny is to dominate the universe. This is the grand design. Inchale, El, and Shaitman. Oh. It is the reason for their existence, the future they lost, the future they will rebuild. The elder brains excel at seeing this bigger picture. They plan in centuries, in millennia. A single Mind Flayer cannot always see that far. Now, sometimes the Illithids do not understand why the elder brain instructs them to do certain things. The short term may seem counterintuitive, illogical. It does not matter. They obey. They trust in the grand design. And so, their entire cold, lawful society works toward this single, inevitable goal. But in the short term, their goals are more recognizable. And in Stag, Ilspaman, Adelmia, they work to oppose the Gith, to keep them divided and weak. They work to establish links to non-Illithids, creatures of the surface perhaps, who can be of service, spies, agents, pawns. They work to seek a steady influx of brains. This is a constant biological necessity. The cattle must be harvested, and they work to expand their knowledge in every single area. Every mind they consume is a library added to their own. Every experiment, every dark magical secret, every piece of alien science, it is all gathered, all to serve the grand design. India 2. This is their society, cold, patient, lawful, and utterly inhuman. A collective that does not have a function. It is a function. But they do not, and cannot do all of this work alone. They are masters, and masters require slaves. The elder brain waits in its pool. The colony is secure. The Gith are held at bay. But the Mind Flayers are few. They are the masters. They are the philosophers, the planners, the scientists. They are above labor. A master does not toil. A master commands. And so, the Illithid ecosystem is a web. A complex, cold, calculated web of tools, and servants, and sustenance. They do not exist in a vacuum. They create their own environment. Only, let us first speak of the most pressing need, earning sustenance. The Illithids must feed. We have spoken of what they eat, but let us consider why. It is not just for calories. The Illithid body is complex. It does need large quantities of normal nutrition just to survive, just to keep the heart beating and the alien organs functioning. For this, they have nutrient vats. Great churning, alchemical vats, where a soup is fermented. Most of what they eat is this, a thick, functional, nutrient slurry, ingested purely to keep the body functioning and healthy. They derive no pleasure from this. It is fuel, nothing more. Because the brain provides something that the vats cannot. An Illithid's brain is a parasite, in a way. It does not produce the critical enzymes, the hormones, or the psychic energy that the body needs to truly function. Those critical components must come from the outside. And brains, especially living brains, are ripe with all three. Brains are the only external source of psychic energy. And brains are the only food from which a Mind Flayer derives pleasure. It is not just taste. It is the flavor of the mind, the texture of a personality, the resonance of a life's worth of memories. This is why they require sentient creatures. Indi, Adime, Eki, Alamat. And so, the colony must have a larder. Near the entrances to the Mind Flayer colony, you will find the fresh capture pits. This is where the cattle are brought. Raiding parties, psionically shielded, moving in the dark, they harvest from the world above, or from the other, lesser races of the Underdark. They bring back large numbers of captives, and they are kept in these pits, waiting to be chosen. No, but some captives are spared this fate. Some are deemed more useful alive, more useful as thralls. A thrall is not just a slave. A thrall is an extension, a puppet. The spells and the psionic abilities that are required to transform a captive into a thrall are difficult. They are high-level, complex powers. This is a time-consuming process. The Mind Flayer must carefully break the victim's mind, dismantle its will, its personality, itself, and then rebuild it. Rebuild it as an empty, loyal shell. No, Kinjiao Echao. These are the thralls. They are the throwaway cattle. They do the work. They dig the tunnels. They tend the vats. They guard the doors. They have no will of their own. And the Mind Flayers have preferences for their thralls. They often seek out the Grimlocks, the blind, savage, subterranean humanoids. Why them? Why them? They are strong. They are primitive. Their minds are simple, easy to dominate, easy to break. Their blindness is irrelevant. In the absolute dark of the deep earth, eyes are a luxury, and to a telepathic race that sees with its mind, it does not matter at all. Grimlocks are the brute labor, the expendable soldiers. Kind. But not all of the Illithid servants are so broken. There is a more complex relationship. The Dwerga, the Grey Dwarves. These are not thralls, not usually. They are allies, or perhaps partners. It is a relationship of pure, cold pragmatism. You will often find Dwerga cities built perilously close to a Mind Flayer colony. They trade. The Dwerga are masters of metal, of stone. They provide weapons, armor, labor. They build for the Mind Flayers. And, in exchange for what? Perhaps for protection. Perhaps for slaves of their own. Or perhaps for the brains of their enemies. It is a tense, cautious, dangerous alliance. The Dwerga hate and fear their allies, and the Illithids see the Dwerga as useful. Useful until the day they are not. But of all the tools, of all the minions, there is one that is special. One that is the perfect instrument. The Intellect Devourer. Intellect Devourer. You may have heard of this thing. It is a brain, a living, walking, disembodied brain. It walks on 4 short, clawed, bestial legs. It is not natural. It is created. Created by the Illithids in a dark, alchemical, psychic ritual. A ritual that uses a donor brain, and its purpose is singular. Ante. It is the perfect spy, the perfect infiltrator. It can teleport. Teleport. It can phase itself inside a victim's skull. There, in that confined dark space, it consumes the host's brain, and then it replaces it. It melds with the victim's brainstem, just like the tadpole. It connects to the nervous system, and it wears the victim's body like a suit. The victim stands up. The victim walks. The victim talks with its own voice. It remembers its own memories because the devourer can access them. It walks among its friends, its family. It goes to work on the surface. And all the while, it is a listening post. A loyal, hidden agent reporting everything it sees, everything it hears, back to its Illithid masters. In Pan Ishtal Kinchananchais. This is the ecosystem of the Mind Flayer. Now, Datiawan, Al-Daptamo. A web of control. Indina, RC, Yachiti, Yachan, Sian Say. Cattle for food, thralls for labor, allies for convenience, and spies to watch the world they plan to reclaim. All serving the colony, all serving the Elder Brain. All part of the grand design. Endisu, Ichitio, Otishuyu. And yet, not all Mind Flayers are equal. There are variations, mutations, aberrations, even among the aberrant. The Illithid is a process, a careful, controlled creation, from the spawning pool to the 10-year wait to the final agonizing ceremorphosis. It is a formula designed to create the perfect vessel. Naui, mine, Neu. But biology, even alien biology, is not always perfect, and that decade-long incubation as a tadpole, that mysterious alchemical transformation, it can change. It can spawn numerous mutations, variations. Sometimes, these variations are revered. Sometimes they are shunned, and sometimes they are a catastrophe. Let us look at the revered. Hi. Sometimes in the nursery pool, a tadpole that survives the 10 years does nothing. It is mature, it is ready, but it waits. The attendants watch, they know. This one is different. It spends twice as long in the pool, not 10 years, but 20. And when this ancient potent tadpole is finally chosen, its implantation is a prophecy. The creature that emerges from the week of transformation is not a standard Illithid. It is immediately distinguishable. It towers over its cousins, standing 7 or even 8 feet tall. And when you look at its face, it has 6 tentacles, not 4. This is an Illithid. Nanshen Ki, Gael. It is akin to a prophet. It is born to lead. These creatures double the lifespan of a normal Mind Flayer. They possess a vastly superior intellect. They inevitably rise to positions of civil or military leadership. They are the chosen. They are destined to one day become a new Elder Brain, to create a new colony in their own name. Nay, this is fortune. But there are other variations, born not of the pool, but of thought, of heresy. Considering their powerful intellects, it is not surprising that many Illithids study wizardry. What is surprising is that a small number are sorcerers. How this raw magical talent manifests in a creature so non-human, so alien, is a great mystery. Perhaps it is a ghost of the donor body it consumed, a trace of dragon blood left behind. But whether it is studied or innate, the excessive study of arcane magic is frowned upon. Illithid society prefers to focus on its true heritage. The Psionic mastery. Magic is considered a distraction, at best. At worst, it is an offense. Because the Mind Flayer, that studies magic, that devotes itself to arcane power, it is distracted from the grand design. It is distracted from the collective. And more often than not, it is thinking for itself. And these magical Illithids, they see the lie. They understand what happens when they join the elder brain. They understand that it is annihilation. D&D, and they refuse. And they devote their magical and psionic power to one goal: to extend their lives, unnaturally, to this, the ultimate goal of lickdom. Intimacy. Owen, Ichel stay Angela. Angela sister now. They are banned from joining the elder brain for their heretical fascinations. On it out, and they succeed. They become something else. Something undead. An Alhun. A Mind Flayer lick. And it possesses no more psionic power than an average Mind Flayer. Chichao, indeed, Kiyo. But its frightful mastery of magic more than makes up for it. They are shunned by their own kind, outcasts, dreadful, immortal heretics. This is the variant born of choice. But what of the variant born of catastrophe? Among the strongest taboos in Illithid society is the failure to implant a mature tadpole. Unto. It must be done. But on rare occasions, an Illithid community collapses. Perhaps the Gith find it, perhaps a band of heroes. The colony is destroyed. In instant, and the elder brain is killed. And then in the sewer. Anyway, what happens to the pool? The tadpoles are suddenly freed. Freed from predation by the always hungry elder brain. But they are also no longer fed by their caretakers. And the tadpoles grow increasingly hungry. And the tadpoles, driven by primal hunger, they turn to cannibalism. Only one tadpole survives from the thousands in the pool. And this one survivor, it absorbs not just the flesh of its fellows. It absorbs the psychic energy from the decaying corpse of the dead elder brain. This energy allows it to grow. It mutates. It grows much larger, to the size of a dog. It is no longer just a tadpole. It is an abomination. Eventually, it catches and devours a sentient creature, something that wanders into the ruined colony, and consuming this first thinking brain triggers the reaction. The same reaction that should have occurred in Ceremorphosis. It becomes self-aware. And at that point, the creature becomes a neo. Illithid. a titanic worm of flesh and hate. It is untrained, savage, feral, indie, and brilliant. It has no knowledge of its links to the Illithids. It is only hunger, a vast psionic predator born of total failure. And there are others. Creations not of failure or heresy, but of dark experiment. What happens when a Mind Flayer tadpole is not inserted into a humanoid? What if the host is a beholder? The result is a mind witness, a fusion of two aberrations, a hideous success. The floating orb of the beholder, but changed, its skin pale and glistening, its maw now filled with tentacles. Its eye stalks still project magic, but its great central eye is gone, replaced by a single Illithid mind. It is a psychic amplifier, a living conduit that broadcasts the elder brain's will. These are the variants, the deviations, each one a reflection of the alien mind that created it. A mind that applies its brilliance not just to biology, but to science and magic as well. The Mind Flayer is a creature of intellect. Its true strength is not in its frail purple body. It is in the mind, the power of its mind. This is their heritage, their birthright. It is psionics. To an Illithid, the arcane magic that a wizard studies is crude. It is an external force, a trick of weaving reality, a reliance on words and gestures and components from the outside world. It is impressive, perhaps, a useful tool for lesser beings, but it is inferior, not one. Psionics is internal. It is the will made manifest. It is the self perfected. It is the art of the mind imposing its shape on reality. It requires no books, no dusty scrolls. It requires only focus and will, and all Illithids are gifted. Their most famous, their most feared ability is the Mind Blast. It is not a spell, it is a projection, a wave of pure psychic hate. Imagine it. The Illithid rears back, its tentacles writhe. It does not shout, it does not move, it just focuses, and it unleashes. A cone of invisible force erupts from its consciousness, and if you are caught in it, it is not pain. It is worse. It is a deafening shout inside your soul, a howling static that overwhelms your every thought. Your mind is stunned, blanked. You are staggered, left reeling, unable to think, unable to act. You are helpless, and that is when the tentacles close in. But the Mind Blast is just the beginning. It is the hammer. They are also surgeons. They can reach into your mind, as gently as a whisper. Now, they can read your thoughts, your surface fears, your deepest secrets. They can pluck them from your memory as easily as you would read a book. They can dominate your will. And so, this is not a brutal control. This is finesse. They plant a suggestion, a single thought that sounds like your own, near you. It would be wise to put down your sword. In cells, your friend is lying to you. You want to walk into that dark room. And you do. They levitate. They fly. Not with wings. Not with magic. They fly by simply willing themselves to rise. They tell the world where they wish to be, and the world listens. This mastery extends beyond their own bodies. Their science and their psionics are one and the same. And the Witchestani and the Tunnel are a true. Their technology is not like ours. It is not gears and pulleys. It is not steam and steel. Their science is organic. It is alchemical. It is alive. They grow their tools. They breed their equipment. They sculpt flesh and infuse it with psychic energy. Think of the mind witness, a fusion of two different biologies forced together by will and dark knowledge. That is their science. They are tremendously creative problem solvers. They craft items not just of magic, but of psionic power. Items to magnify their minds, to shield their thoughts, to focus their will. This blending of psionics, alchemy, and aberrant biology, this is Illithid science. And this creative alien intellect, it dreams. It dreams of its past. It remembers its future. It remembers the glorious ships that sailed the void. And in their dark subterranean dens, they work to recreate them. Each of the most serious scholars on the surface discount the tales. They call them pure fantasy. Tales of ships shaped like the shell of a nautilus. Nifsame dero wertior ishsama abanti. Ships that are capable of flying. Indeed. Not just through the sky, but through the dark silent spaces between the worlds. The scholars are wrong. It even ends our way. The tales are true. For aeons, the rules have been clear. They were immutable. The tadpole erases you. That is ceremorphosis. The elder brain commands you. That is the colony. Individuality is death. The collective is life. And away go. This was the law. But now, ninja seri sisteinen. Achao, ichia, idki. In very recent history, something new has happened. Something that breaks the law. The Nautiloids have returned. Not as cautious single scouting ships hiding in the void, but as fleets. They are darkening the skies of our world. They are not hiding near what you understand. They are abducting hundreds, thousands, in mass. And the tadpoles they are using, they are different. They have changed. They have been touched by some dark magic, some power that is not of Illithid origin. And the process is wrong. Indati, winter king, style, air. Intuye. The victim is captured. The tadpole is inserted. It burrows into the brain. But the 7-day transformation, the agonizing consumption, it stops. It pauses. It goes into stasis. And the victim, the host, they wake up. They are still themselves. Their memories are theirs. Their face is theirs. Their will is theirs. But they are not alone in their own head. The parasite is there. It is dormant, but it is listening. And it connects them. It connects them to a new voice. A vast psychic choir, a new hive mind. It is not an elder brain, and a tile. Conditional, it is not an elder brain. It is the elder brain, ND. A voice that calls itself the Absolute. And this voice, it does not command you like a slave. It does not erase you. It welcomes you, new. It tells you that you are chosen, that you are special. It calls you a true soul. And the parasite, it gives you gifts. It unlocks your mind. It grants you psionic power. Ana, Nichuitu Iskiu, Anako Tor, it Gok Sichi, it Awenti Ha. It grants you. Unlocks. You can feel the thoughts of others. You can sway their minds. You can connect telepathically with other true souls. It feels good. It feels powerful. This is not slavery. It is ascension. This is anathema. D&D? Now. It breaks every law of Illithid society. The elder brain commands thralls. It consumes individuals. It does not create empowered agents. The elder brain fears individuality. It crushes dissent. It does not nurture it. So what is this? What is the Absolute? Is it a new grand design? A schism in their society? A civil war between elder brains? Or is something else pulling the strings? Something that has hijacked the control network of the Illithids for its own purpose? And in this new terror, there is another impossibility. An artifact, a glowing prism of strange metal, humming with Githyanki magic. And somehow, this one object, it blocks the signal. It shields you. If you hold it, if you are near it, the voice of the Absolute cannot reach you. You are free. Free with the parasite in your head. Free with all of its new, terrible power and none of its crushing control. A terrible ticking clock, because the parasite is still there. The stasis cannot last forever. Nay. Can it? And this new, terrible freedom, it presents a new temptation. The discovery of other tadpoles. Ancient, not the common ones, but a special one. An astral tadpole, Endu, Chao, Ando. A tadpole that has been steeped in the planar energy of the astral plane. And it offers you a choice. And it offers you a choice. You can consume it. You can evolve. Nay, you can accept its power willingly. And if you do, it will not transform you fully. Not yet. But it will begin the change. It forces a partial ceremorphosis. Your face might change. Black, creeping veins across your skin. Your mind opens. Nearkala, activities. Your powers explode. You can fly, using only your mind. You can channel the full, raw might of an Illithid while still being you. See. Or are you? You are becoming something new. Enil. Something in between. A hybrid. A monster that thinks it is still a person. This is the ultimate seduction. Sedu. The promise of power that requires you to welcome the parasite as a partner, rather than an invader. This recent history has changed the game. The Illithid threat is no longer just hiding in the dark. It is in the sky. And it is inside our heads. It is no longer just about the grand design. It is now about the absolute. A new plan, a faster plan, and perhaps a far more terrifying one. And so, here we are, back in the quiet of our own safe place. We have journeyed so very far, down into the cold, wet darkness, and out into the silent, black void between the worlds. We have looked into the mind of the alien. Too. The Mind Flayer. It is a horror of paradoxes. Ensure. A creature of brilliant, cold intellect that exists by consuming the intellect of others. A society built on perfect lawful order that relies on abduction, torment, and annihilation. A race of refugees from our future that seek to build their ancient empire in our past. We see now two paths of their will. The old path, the slow path, the grand design. The patient elder brains dreaming in their briny pools, waiting, planning in centuries, believing that time itself is on their side, believing that their rise to dominion is inevitable. And now we see a new path, a faster path, and the absolute, the fleets in our skies, the seduction of power, the whisper in the mind that doesn't erase you, but invites you in, which is worse, The cold, honest oblivion of the tentacle, or the warm, treacherous lie of the true soul. In the end, does it matter? Both paths lead to their victory, and your end. But the true chill, the deepest cold that we are left with, is the origin. The knowledge that they are here now, because they lost then. They are fleeing their end at the end of time. El wantitidi, and so, ichdi. This is the great, terrible question. Is this all a closed loop? Is everything we do, every kingdom that rises, every hero that fights, is it all just part of the long, slow history that leads to their final empire? Is their victory truly inevitable? Or is this new thing, this absolute? Is this the change? Is this the variable? Is this chaotic, magical heresy the very thing that causes the great final war at the end of time? Are we witnessing not just their past, but the beginning of their end? We cannot know. We are left only with the grand design. 9. A design so cold, so patient, so intelligent. They see the universe as flawed, as chaotic, as something to be corrected. And they are the artists, the designers, and we are just the material. And the kamikubisil, ne just. They're just the material. Oh, it is late, the darkness is deep, and you are safe in your room. The feeling of static at the base of your skull. It is just fatigue, that slight, sharp pressure behind your eyes. It is just imagination. For now, it is just a story. Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed our journey into the dark, if you wish to explore more of this world, please like this video and subscribe to the channel. It helps more than you know. Until next time, sleep well and try not to dream.